Happy Wednesday, Crestwood. Hope you all are doing well this morning. Rainy and stormy day out there, so hope you're staying safe and dry. So glad to be with you today and to provide this devotional for you for this Wednesday, September 16th. Today I'm thinking about defiance, what it means to defy authority or defy an order you're giving. There's a great story in Scripture in the book of Exodus, right at the beginning, that kind of gets lost amidst the story of Moses. And that is when Pharaoh orders for all the Hebrew boys to be killed, all the Israelite boys to be killed. The Israelites are growing too numerous. They were starting to become larger than the Egyptian population. So the Pharaoh wanted to curtail their fruitfulness and how they were multiplying. So he says to the two midwives of the Israelites, Shiphrah and Puah, he says, I want you to kill any male baby that's born among the Israelites, but let any girl live. And so he gives them this order. It's a governmental decree, a mandate that comes down from the top. But Shiphrah and Puah decide to defy it. Decide they're not going to do that. They're not going to kill any boy that's born. And so they continue to birth the boys and let them live. And Pharaoh comes to them and says, hey, what's going on? I gave you an order. You're supposed to do what I said. And they give this great answer. I think it's one of the most clever answers in all of Scripture. Like, yeah, we tried, but the Israelite women are so vigorous when they give birth that the babies are born before we can get there. And Pharaoh, in all his ignorance and stupidity, is like, oh, okay, I didn't realize that. But it's a wonderful act of defiance on the part of Shiphrah and Puah that gives life to those that otherwise would have been killed. I've been thinking about that a lot when I think about what is our role as Christians in this world? What is our role as followers of Christ in this world when we are also given laws to follow, when we are given mandates to obey? There's a lot of, discussion about whether we should do what the government tells us to do or what the government's encouraging us to do, or maybe we shouldn't do those things. So what becomes the criteria for deciding that? How do we decide, well, I'm going to follow this law, I'm not going to follow this law. I'm going to obey this mandate, I'm not going to obey that mandate. And I use the conversation or the story about Shiphrah and Puah as a guide for that. They decided to disobey when it would mean death to others. They decided to disobey when it meant taking life away from others. And by their disobedience, they then give life to others. So they make the choice to say, I'm not going to do what the government says, because otherwise it would mean that someone may die. And that's interesting, because what they don't do is they don't make their decision based on their own selfish ambitions or their own selfish gains. They very well could have been executed by Pharaoh on the spot for disobeying. Pharaoh could have said, that's it. You didn't do what I said, you're dead. So it wasn't their own personal agendas that they let drive their decision. It was what was best for those around them, what was best for the people that they served and loved. And so I think that's important for us to think about when we are faced with decisions that come down from authority, whether it's our parents who are telling us to do something, or whether it's our boss that's telling us to do something, or whether it's our government that's telling us to do something. I think a good criteria to use is, by doing this, am I bringing life to someone, or am I taking life away from someone? And so there are times when we're faced with really thorny decisions. I always think about soldiers, Christian soldiers who fight in the military, who have been in the past called to hurt or kill another human being for their country. This isn't black and white stuff. This is really, really difficult. And we face some of those same choices today. But I hope that all of us, when we wrestle with these issues, the initial question we ask is not what's best for me, but what's best for those that God has called me to love and to serve. And how am I loving and serving them, either through what I'm called to do or in defiance to what I'm called to do? And so I hope we continue to remember that. I hope we continue to follow the path that God has put us on. I hope we continue to be the people God has called us to be by making the decisions and making the choices that bring life to others. Maybe sometimes even at our own detriment, our own sacrifice. God calls us to be generous. That means giving away some of what we have so that others may know God's love and God's provision for them. Not an easy decision. No one ever said this faith thing was going to be easy. But if it was, everybody'd have it. So I pray that you have the discernment and wisdom of God as you make decisions each and every day that give life to others. God bless you, Crestwood.